Well, thank you so much for joining us on this program. Welcome once again. My name is Eric Munene. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of your screen is Joyce Warimo. The Building Bridges Initiative Task Force is expected to wind up its consultative meeting with Kenyans tomorrow before they retreat to write a second report. Today, several forums led by Kenya National Union of Teachers, Young County Assemblies Members Forum and Sabaot community made a myriad of proposals to the Yusuf Haji-led task force aimed at tackling the point agenda enshrined in the BBI document. Our political affairs reporter Jeff Haimba with more details on that.
With only 3 months remaining for the BBI team to prepare and submit their second report to President Uhuru Kenyatta, the Yusuf Haji-led task force is leaving nothing to chance by receiving various proposals from the Kenyans. Being the second last day, various forums led by the Kenya National Union of Teachers NAT lined up to make their proposals.
In the parliament, we propose that will be the Prime Minister, while the head of state will be the elected president, while the Prime Minister, being the head of government, will be assisted by the 2 deputies. The union calls for scrapping of SRC, since in the industrial relations, it is bipartite, and people are allowed to negotiate, the employer and the employee. So the regulation, the inclusion of SRC has always curtailed the spirit of negotiation.
NAT, led by its national chairman Wycliffe Omuchei and his deputy secretary general Hezbon Otieno, wants the Salaries and the Remuneration Commission SRC abolished, saying it is an impediment to fair labor practices and frustrates the rights for the teachers to enjoy equal benefits. Apart from NAT presenting its memoranda, the Sabaot community minority group, dressed in the traditional regalia, faced the Haji team to make their proposals.
The Sabaot are said to be awkward, wandering aimlessly, traumatized, debilitated, marginalized, and also suffering psychologically.
The community, which mainly lives around Mount Elgon, the original homeland of most of the Kalenjin. The Sabaot had vast lands which allowed for their pastoral lifestyle. However, their land, according to them, was taken away by the colonial government, which they wanted back now.
Is the unresolved land injustices in Trans Nzoia, and whereby the Sabaot community has the highest level of landlessness in Kenya, occasioned by the forceful displacement by the colonialists and the failure by the subsequent governments to settle or compensate.
The Kenya young members of the county assembly also walked in to make their proposals.
But we, the young legislators, would like to propose the following recommendations. Resources for capacity building, which should be set aside to make young legislators ambassadors in the fight against corruption through court petitions and maybe social media advocacy and campaigns, thus initiating integrity to clubs to shape the young generation.
Led by the forum chair Jundegwa, the young members of the county assemblies who across the country have set in motion a nationwide campaign geared towards promoting conversation around the BBI report proposals, say their seat should be reserved for themselves.
The youth affirmative action such as action funds such as Uwezo Fund and the Youth Enterprise Fund should be collapsed under one basket and devolved and to be provided at 0 interest rates. This will give incentives to SMEs and for counties to grow and for more opportunities.
The Kenya Young Members of the County Assembly is a county legislative caucus that brings together the young lawmakers at the county level to advocate for and support pro-youth legislation and policies. Reporting for Ebro TV, I'm Jeff Haimba.
On matters related to that now, today is the 9th of March 2020, which is the second anniversary of the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM chief Raila Odinga, a unity pact signaling an end to acrimony following the 2017 presidential election. The Building Bridges initiative was born of the handshake, which has in the last 24 months done anything but build bridges to a united Kenya.
At about 10 a.m. exactly 2 years ago, since that will change the course of politics in Kenya. Two former archivals shaking hands and burying the hatchet after an acrimonious 2017 election period which culminated to two presidential elections. A lot has happened since that was initiated by the establishment of the Building Bridges Initiative, complete with a task force led by Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji with a 9-point agenda to a united country. But the bridge to a united Kenya is seemingly leaving some behind, even after the president and his newfound buddy becoming a dynamic duo, while Deputy President William Ruto seems to be an isolated man. While the handshake, the political union between the president and Orange Democratic leader gave birth to BBI, it has also sired two deeply divided political factions, Kieleweke, an anti-Ruto formation, and Tanga Tanga, which consists of leaders allied to the deputy president. Pundits argue that the BBI report could be the straw that breaks the Jubilee Party's back as the anniversary comes at a time of heightened political tension, DP Ruto declaring enough is enough over what he termed as incessant efforts to intimidate him after he seemingly went against his boss on matters BBI. Those in Ruto's camp, Christian team Tanga Tanga, says the BBI was a plot to fix Ruto in a bid to stop him from ascending to power come 2022.
Mimi nilikuwa naamini ya kwamba pengine kuna ile BBI genuine na kuna ile fake. Malaka mimi nilikuwa huko Mombasa, nilikuwa huko Kitui, hapa mliona nikikalishwa chini. Na nilikuwa naamini sababu Meru niko nyumbani tutaona ile BBI genuine. Saa hii mimi sina shaka. Hakuna genuine BBI na fake BBI. All BBI is fake.
While all politicians have declared their support for the BBI initiative, another dividing issue is on what it should achieve, more so on the proposed expansion of the executive.
Another member of BBI.
A task force on Building Bridges initiative, BBI, led by Senator Yusuf Haji, is currently fine-tuning a document that will thereafter be converted into a referendum bill ahead of a plebiscite. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
Well, that report there by our very own Busara Naman paints a picture that is anything but a united Kenya. And that's the reason why I am joined by Commissioner from the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, Danvers Makori. Thank you so much for finding time to join us tonight.
Thank you, Eric, for having me. Pleasure.
Well, so I read somewhere that you said most of our leaders are selfish and they are trying hard to push the country back to where we were before. And you said that was in regards to what happened in 2007. And I was just wondering, what is it that the Commission intends to do differently this time around that has not been done before?
Once again, thanks for having me. And just for a quick note, just condolences to Honorable Dorian's family, his family rather, for the loss they have experienced. That's a very, first of all, straight up question out of the gate, Eric.
Yep.
And I think for us, knowing where we came from as a country and as a commission, we are absolutely committed to make sure this country remains united, stays united, is cohesive and peaceful. Democracy allows divergent views, but doesn't allow you to tear your country apart. And that's really our goal. So we have key strategies that we've put in place, especially we know the hotspot areas. Our strategy is very clear. We need to be preemptive, especially in areas that we know, informed from the past, that we're what we call the epicenters. So we are preemptive, we're engaging already. So make sure the country stay united and we can have our free democratic process in a plural and democratic society.
But that's what the Commission has been doing every time, ever since that it was constituted.
Well, here's the issue. We are, as you said this is the anniversary of the BBI, the handshake.
Yep.
Let's face it, this handshake was a ground changer. It was epic, and truly speaking, it will change the history of our country for a long time. And we should be grateful to live in such an opportunity. I'm grateful for the fact that, let me just explain, because to answer your question, to explain what we're doing,
yep.
And explain just a brief history of where the president was coming from. Remember, after 2007, he reached out to then the person who everybody thought was the academy and made peace, and then ran for government and won. Okay? Then after that, he collapsed his own party against everybody's advice and wish because he wants unity. You understand? Then after 2017, we know what happened after the recall. He reached out to everybody's, and everybody knew that was the arch enemy at that point, and still reached out. So the president is very consistent in making sure this country is united, because he's done that. For him, his heart, and people really misunderstand. The handshake had nothing to do with our war against anybody. It had to do with his desire and heart to have a united and cohesive country. Now, where we come in as a commission to answer you is because we know his heart and we know his conviction, we know his position. Therefore, for us, we are a new commission, just came in November 20, appointed by him.
The team.
Yeah, the team, the entire commission.
Yep.
And to deliver one thing, to make sure the country stays united during this process, with the referendum and during the election. And we're committed. Usually, people are reactive. They wait for something to happen. And what is different right now is we have measures. I can't say everything. Measures in place right now. We are proactive. We deployed resources and committed resources and teams to make sure where we know there can be trouble, there isn't. Okay, and that's why we're having discourse we've reminded the politicians to, hey, you know what, there's divergent views, that's a democracy, but make sure your rhetoric is not divisive, okay? It is solid, that remember, when the process is all said and done, we still have a country remaining.
Well, you're mandated by the Constitution to stop all that, but that sounds to me like a request. You know, you guys, please, come on, don't burn down the country.
It's not actually a request. There's something called an NCIC Act 208, and it's very clear of what our mandate is in terms of addressing discrimination, advising the government on anything that threatens cohesion and unity, but also enforcing. We have an enforcement mechanism, and for the most part, for me, we try to have dialogue. You see, dialogue is important. One of the things that we do to come to that question is behind the scenes, what people don't understand and appreciate is peace building. Yes. Where there's conflict within communities, we're there to build peace. And when you do that, you have to dialogue. However, when it comes to push to shove, when somebody incites, our act is very clear. If you incite, even the Constitution says you have free speech, but limited to acts of war, incitement, propaganda. You understand? So even our act is very clear that you cannot incite communities or people groups to violence. You know, and even to insults, you cannot do that. So we have enforcement because we've arrested a number of politicians throughout the history of the commission. But even since we've come, we've already engaged that because we wish not to do that, but unfortunately, that's the reality of the country we live in.
You've talked about the president's intentions to have a peaceful country, and we're going to talk about that in regards to him and his commitment, as well as what his handshake partner, that is Raila Odinga, thinks about that. But you've spoken about enforcement. I understand that you submitted your recommendations to the Building Bridges Initiative Task Force, and one of the recommendations that you wanted, that you presented rather, is that you want to be facilitated with more powers in order to prosecute suspects, just as the EACC and the ODPP. But there is a general feeling among Kenyans that the two have, not lived up to Kenyans' expectations.
Well, actually, the prosecution is with the ODPP. Why we had that, let me just explain to you, is there's always narrative that NCIC has been a toothless dog. Okay, so our position is very clear. If you want us to deliver all the way, we have to control it. So essentially, establish a special tribunal where we can fast-track the cases of incitement and hate speech and violence. Because the current court process is lengthy. The courts are backed up. They're overwhelmed. You understand? So what we are saying is, listen, if you really want us to deliver, okay, give us a full mandate. Let us go all the way. So to me, it's either all or nothing. You understand? Yeah. Or we get out of that business and let the ODPP and the police handle that part. You understand? So that we can focus on the peace building cohesion as one of our core mandates. Matter of fact, people will focus on hate speech, but that's one of 16 of our mandates. We have 16 mandates according to our act. We have so many things we need to do in this country. You understand? So the reason we submitted that because is of the opinion that a lot of cases we have when they go to court, and that's how it is, the judicial process. They take too long. Well, it's evidence, the threshold of evidence that is there. So we say, you know what, let us control the full narrative. And some countries have a special tribunal. We saw that in Rwanda. Remember that? There's a special tribunal for people who perpetrated violence or such. So we are requesting, let's have a special tribunal where if you are arrested, by constitutional right, you have due process. Okay, we'll afford you the rights as it is, but also let's have all the way, prosecute all the way, a special judge, fast track these cases, so that now that there will be a true deterrence, okay, to incitement and espionage, because now people realize, you know what, actually you can go to prison very quickly if you're inciting and causing violence in the country.
So let's talk about the president's, handshake partner, that is Honorable Raila Odinga.
Yeah.
Just the other day, Narok Senator Ledama Olekina was not in your good books.
Yeah.
He was arrested and later on released. But, the Honorable Raila Odinga thinks that he's done nothing wrong. We'll have a look at that in this short compilation of clips that we just compiled. You also tell us what you think about what these honorable members of parliament and other leaders are saying.
Okay.
Have a look.
In 2018, when you shook hands with President Uhuru Kenyatta, the country breathed a sigh of relief, and we took it in stride and appreciated and said that it was an extended hand of goodwill, where we will forget all the bad things that we had done to each other and begin a honest discussion about how to make Kenya a better country.
In fact, if there is something that has dented the image of BBI, it's a conversation that divides the country between kabila hii na kabila hile. We want to leave that kind of conversation. Kwa sababu tusidanganyane, hao wa Kenya sio wa kabila. Ni sisi wanasiasa ndio tunaleta huu kabila. Watu wanasema ati wa Kenya wanatusiana, wanaweza kabila. Hakuna. This is how we can build a strong foundation for democracy. Manake wewe sasa ile unazuia yeye mtu aseme ako na hii chuki ndani yake. Wacha kohoe. Tutatafuta dawa yake. Tuko na dawa yake. Mtu mmoja amesema namna hii Kenya itamalizika kesho. Hii ni tunataka iwe Kenya mpya. Ndio sababu tumesalimiana na Uhuru. Niambia Uhuru simama pale, Raila asimame hapa. Hii sio imejaletwa ili Raila awe rais au Uhuru awe waziri mkuu. Hapana.
Na sisi tungetaka kuambia Raila na wengine na wale wanapanga waheshimu Mkikuyu. Nyinyi akina Murathe, akina Atwoli, stop cheating Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is unacceptable to the people of Central Kenya, come rain, come shine. Hiyo ni maneno yawezekani. Na sisi tunaunga Rais Kenyatta mkono kwa mambo yote. Ili analete bunge, mambo ya kahawa na nini, hiyo yote tunakubali. Lakini mambo ya Raila Odinga hiyo tumeshindwa. Tumejaribu na tumejaribu imekuwa ngumu.
Well, Senator Ledama Olekina is coughing, and Rigathi Gachagua, that is a member of parliament for Madeira, thinks that the Kikuyus are not ready for Raila, and the country is moving on forward. I mean, what's your take on that?
First of all, your earlier sentiment, I don't think is accurate, because I was there in Narok during delegates conference. We actually do attend we've attended every single BBI delegates conference and rally. We monitor and we are there behind the scenes and even after. And I was there in the actual conference, and I wish there was that clip actually where the Right Honorable Prime Minister actually was very categorical. He said, countering the narrative that the Dama was pushing, was that every Kenyan has a right to live everywhere. That's the constitution. That's the law. And he countered him, he called him, said, you know what? No, actually that's what he says, the truth, because whichever tribe you belong to, whether you're Kamba, Kikuyu, Luo, Kalenjin, you have a right to live where you want. And we're all Kenyans. And we're addressing. So actually he did. He didn't just let him say it. Actually, he did address that. That even in the rally itself, he repeated that. Even privately, he's repeated that. Because for him, what is the spirit of BBI? Is moving country from ethnic enclaves and communities to a genuine identity. So it would be counterproductive for him not to call it, because what he said was undermining the very spirit of BBI. And that's why we had to take action upon it, because he's undermining the very process. Because the spirit of BBI is inclusivity. Okay, it is cohesion, it's peace, it's all of us. We're celebrating our diversity, knowing that we have a shared past of diversity, but together we are stronger together as a people. So we don't forget the fact, but also by law and constitution, Eric, you have a right to live anywhere. You're a Kenyan, and you can live in Madeira, in Wajir, in Samburu, in Nairobi. freely. The Constitution affords you that, and that's what the Right Honorable Prime Minister said in the delegates' conference in Narok to counter what Ledama said.
We Kenyans have talked about hate speech for so long and for so many different occasions that I think we've become numb to it. What the MP for Madeira said, does that really reach the threshold for hate speech? Or rather, what is the threshold for hate speech? Let's start there.
I think we have to be careful, Eric, that to remember that the Constitution affords us free speech. And we are not the free speech police, okay? Ours is to make sure that discourse is not divisive or insightful, especially insightful.
Raila cannot be sold to central central Kenya people.
That's an opinion, that's a personal opinion, but is it inciting? No. In a democracy, people have a right to express their opinion and to disagree. But as long as you're not inciting, as long as there's no propaganda to incite, to people to war, and that's exactly what Lama was saying. He was basically saying, you're not welcome to this place. As a Kenyan, he was basically, what he was doing, he was challenging your fundamental constitutional right. You have a right to the democratic process. You have a right to stay where you are. You have a right to property. This is sacred to a constitution. You understand? So when you challenge a constitution, then we will address. But somebody addressing whether somebody is sellable or not, that's his personal opinion. And the voters will decide whether he's true or not. So ours is not to get into to be police of speech. Rather, it's to make sure if somebody is pushing an insightful speech, and really because it's very clear like what you were saying, yes, because we could see the temperatures rising. Because we have monitors everywhere in the country. We monitor everything. So when somebody says something, we say, what is it causing? And also you have to remember, just to remind you, that there is in the rule of evidence, there's a threshold, okay? Eric, if you say something right now, it has to be proved that is actually what you say did cause incitement. So I just can't go and say, well, I can't go to God and say, well, Eric said this and I wasn't really happy what he said, therefore it's insightful. No, there has to be evidence to prove what you say is actually caused incitement. It was hurtful to people. It caused incitement. Yeah, that's the law.
Well, let's take with the BBI. Just recently, it emerged that there was a disturbing report by the National Intelligence Service that led to the cancellation of the BBI Eldoret rally. Does that, do the NIS also provide such reports to you, and what do you do about them?
I'm not sure you got that report. That they are the ones who say that. I'm not aware of that such report. But as a statutory commission, whose main work is peace building, cohesion and unity, which is imperative within a constitution, and it is a core component of security. We do at certain times engage in regional levels and county levels with security teams and county teams to know where the status is as a country is. I am not aware of that report. I have not seen it. I'm hearing it the first time you're talking about it. But we do sit in certain committees in regional levels and I said in county levels, and matters peace and security is paramount to us. That is our core mandate by law. So therefore, we do sit in such. But I'm not aware of that report. I can tell you that for a fact. Yeah.
Okay. So let me take you back to the August 2017 general elections. Yeah. Your commission held several workshops to sensitize Kenyans and also to educate them on the importance of peaceful coexistence. Yes. But the country still remained, polarized and divided as people advocated for, their political outfits. Does that worry you? Do you see such a scenario in the coming general elections?
Eric, I don't think you should confuse divergent views in a democracy with polarization, or rather a true division, so to speak, where there's clearly balkanization. In a democratic society, even in the US, is a conservative view, the Republicans, which is the progressive liberal view, the Democrats. Yeah. Democracy affords that, and that's why we have a democracy, so we can express views. And to me, it's 2017 was Kenyans expressing freely given democratic constitutional rights. You understand? So within a society, even the Constitution says we live in a pluralistic, this is very clear, this is a pluralistic democratic society. And therefore within that space, the divergent view must be. So we must give that space. And if we don't, then we're not being genuine whether we have democracy or not. Either whether we have a democracy, and I was in a panel discussion the other day on Friday talking about inclusive democracy. And I said, by definition, this is being philosophical, just to show you how democracy, by definition, by design and definition, democracy is not all inclusive.
Yep.
You understand? Because first of all, coming from Greek, in Greek, not everybody was in that process, but we've evolved now. We have equal suffrage. However, but Eric, if Party A and Party B run and Party B wins, is Party A included in government? They cannot be included. You understand? And that is why they compete with ideas in the marketplace, and then the voters decide. So for me, what we want to afford Kenyans, and to be very clear with you, NCAC is like a referee, okay?
Yep.
And the rules of the game is the Constitution in our NCAC Act, and they're very clear what the parameters are. And we say, play the game as politicians. Let the best man win. However, we referee very fair and accurately given our Constitution and what our act is. We are very neutral because our mandate, Eric, is cohesion and peace and unity. So if something threatens that, we'll call it out regardless of who you are and where you're aligned. That's our mandate. We have to be fair to what our law allows us to do.
As we finish, and in very few words, do you think the Building Bridges initiative is duplicating your work?
There is that. There is that in terms of the core. But we appreciate the fact that the country was in a very unique position in 2017. It needed something different, okay? But also, we also are working together with the task force. We are involved. And also by our act, NCAC Act says that one of the key roles we have is to advise government on any legislation or any policy that addresses the issue of cohesiveness or unity in the country. So by law, of course, we are involved. And I think we welcome it. I mean, because what they are doing, I don't think we'll be able to do what they're doing in terms of, it is a special time we live in our country. And to me, I welcome it. It is more than welcome. And we'll work together. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dan Vaz Makori, a commissioner with the NCIC, talking about the handshake and the BBI that came out of it, as well as everything in between. Time now for a very short break. When you come back, more news that made headlines today.
No.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Msambweni Member of Parliament Suleiman Dori was buried this evening at his rural home in Ganzi, Kwale County. The ODM party legislator died this morning at the Aga Khan Hospital in Mombasa, where he was undergoing cancer treatment. Have a look.
Dori's body was moved from his home and taken to a mosque for the final prayers before he was buried at around 4:30 p.m. Hundreds of mourners attended the burial, which was graced by a number of political leaders led by area governor Salim Mvurya.
Kwa sababu tuko na viongozi hapa across the political divide, na ni kwa sababu ya upendo na ujasiri wa marehemu Mheshimiwa Dori. Kazi ambayo ameifanya hapa ni kubwa, ni kazi ya kuonekana.
President Uhuru Kenyatta's message of condolence was read out by National Assembly Majority Leader Aden Duale.
Honorable Suleiman Dori was a great son of Kenya. He was a courageous and illustrious servant of the people who sacrificed personal comfort to serve the country with a commitment and dedication, especially the residents of Msambweni constituency.
While ODM leader Raila Odinga's tribute was conveyed by Suba South MP John Badi.
Vile tulisikizana lazima mwenzangu akue kwa chama. Mimi nikasema aizave. Juu saa zingine democracy must be guided. Ukiwa na ukali sana unaweza toa watu wote kwa chama.
Other leaders present included Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi, ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, Kwale Senator Issa Juma Boy, and Lamu Woman Representative Ruwaida Obo.
Tumepoteza kiongozi kijana mchanga, kijana ambaye was very ambitious, kijana ambaye alikuwa na matumaini mingi sana katika uongozi na katika pia kuangalia constituency yake na watu wake kwa jumla.
Also present were MPs Aisha Jumwa of Malindi, Mishi Mboko, Khatib Mwashetani, Benjamin Tayari, Paul Katana, Michael Kingi, William Kamoti, Kasim Tandaza and Omar Mwinyi.
Kifo cha ndugu yetu Mheshimiwa Dori ni ishara ya kwamba sisi sote, viongozi wote, ujuaji wetu wote, hata nyinyi nyote ni maiti watarajiwa.
The burial was also laced with political undertones, with Siaya Senator James Orengo seemingly kickstarting the campaign mode. The fallen Member of Parliament was at loggerheads with his Orange Democratic Movement party and at some point was expelled from the party.
Naweza kusema kutokana na vile hata party leader yetu amesema ya kwamba yule atachaguliwa hapa Msambweni ni watu wa Msambweni ndio watachagua. Ni watu wa Msambweni. Hata kama ni chama lakini kidemokrasia msingi wa kidemokrasia ya kwamba ile kura, the right to vote goes to the voter.
Now moving on, as coronavirus outbreaks in China and South Korea appear to be slowing down, more than 300 deaths have been reported in Italy in 48 hours, with 7,000 others confirmed to have the virus. The government in the country has been forced to impose a quarantine that has affected 16 million people.
The death toll from the coronavirus outbreak in Italy has jumped by at least 133 in the past 48 hours, bringing its total to over 366. The country had to impose a quarantine in Lombardy and other severely affected areas, affecting some 16 million people as it steps up efforts to tackle Europe's largest outbreak. The move comes as the country struggles to contain the virus's spread, with 1,247 new cases detected in the last 24 hours, a 25% surge. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, authorities have locked down the Eastern Qatif region in a bid to contain the fast-spreading virus. Riyadh also said it was suspending all public and private schools and universities across the country from Monday until further notice. In Africa, though, 8 countries have so far confirmed cases of coronavirus. Egypt carries the highest burden of the virus with 55 confirmed cases, followed by Algeria with 20 confirmed cases. Senegal has 4 confirmed cases, while Tunisia, Nigeria, Cameroon and Morocco have 2 confirmed cases each, while Ghana has 1 confirmed case. Over the weekend, there have been reports that a patient of Asian descent died at Mpisha Hospital after he presented with coronavirus-like symptoms, to which the government refuted, saying there is no case of coronavirus in the country. The government maintains that the country is ready to tackle any reported case of coronavirus. Last Friday, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe launched an isolation and treatment center at Mbagathi Hospital.
We have a national contingency plan to guide us in terms of prioritizing and preparedness. We have an emergency response unit that is going around everywhere, that if there is any information about anything in any part of this country, we are preparing ourselves so that we are able to respond immediately. So we have activated the Emergency Operations Center that is closely monitoring the evolution of the outbreak in China and the rest of the world, in order for us to keep tabs with what we should do and to know what other countries are doing, and therefore to do the same or even better.
So far, more than 3,800 people have died from the virus, over 110,000 others infected, while 62,000 others have recovered. Winnie Lubambe for Ebri TV.
Now, employees at the City Hall are miffed at the dysfunctional nature of happenings at the country's capital city. Speaking on condition of anonymity, a Nairobi County government employee laid bare the sad state of affairs at the county, whose key functions have been handed over to the national government for running.
The Nairobi County government has been in the news for all the wrong reasons, starting from the prosecution of Governor Mike Sonko to the lack of a substantive deputy to take over from the ill-fated governor. Now, 2 months after the governor was arraigned in court to face charges of 357 million shillings graft case, the lid has been lifted of how badly the governor ran the county as a personal fiefdom. A City Hall insider told Ebru TV that the governor has, from behind the scenes and in total contravention of a court order, directed the locking of county treasury offices. The offices are locked following an ongoing dispute between disgraced Governor Mike Sonko and Nairobi County Finance Executive Pauline Kahiga, who has the backing of the County Assembly Speaker Beatrice Elachi. Following the dispute, there is no running water at City Hall, and the ladies' toilets are closed on account of the same order, forcing employees and visitors to go all the way to the GPO for relief. The insider wondered how the county, which is responsible for the supply of water to 4 million citizens, could not even afford minor repairs for burst pipes. The insider also said that lifts have not been operational for the last 2 years and no efforts have been made to repair them. The County Assembly of Nairobi is embroiled in a supremacy battle with Governor Sonko, whom the High Court ordered not to interfere with the management of City Hall affairs. Sonko, however, replaced several county government officials, among them the County Executive for Finance Pauline Kahiga, but whom Nairobi County Assembly Speaker Beatrice Elachi insisted would remain the bona fide executive until the national government completes the takeover of the county's key functions.
Now, Nakuru municipality is inching closer to becoming a city as the Senate Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations heads to approve the town's charter in the next 40 days. The committee's chairperson, John Kenywa, says the town of over 2 million people meets the minimum 500,000 people threshold for conferment of city status.
Kenywa spoke in Nakuru today after leading the committee on a fact-finding mission at Gioto Solid Waste Disposal Site, the Nakuru Level 5 Hospital and the Nakuru Fire Station, where he exuded confidence in the management of the amenities, saying the county government of Nakuru is adequately prepared for the charter.
What we want to challenge the Nakuru County, and more specifically the municipality, they should up their game in terms of their collection, not to depend squarely on the national government, what they're getting from national government, and at least to make sure they computerize what they're getting from here to reduce the amount of money that is lost through scrupulous people who don't want to pay taxes.
Kenywa said the committee is also working with independent development partners in the process of assessing the municipality's preparedness level in other core areas of service to ensure that Nakuru becomes a standard bearer of a city charter once it is duly granted. However, the Laikipia County Senator advised the county government of Nakuru to expedite an ongoing automation program in its revenue department to help seal loopholes that negate effective revenue collection.
If we sit and we had our deliberation, we agree with them we should make Nakuru a city, it should be a lesson from Nakuru County that they have seen what has happened to Kisumu, from what has happened to Mombasa. They can only do better than those people. At least they have a place to refer.
Committee member Rose Ogendo said the committee will lobby for increased funding to the Nakuru Level 5 Hospital, which she says is stretched amid reports that it is serving 3 neighboring counties of Kericho, Baringo and Nyandarua.
What the challenge that I saw in the hospital is that Nakuru Hospital is now hosting almost all the counties around here, because this is the only hospital that you will find has got all the facilities that is required, much as they are still working on it. So I would.
Ogendo noted that the hospital is grappling with a shortage of medical staff and equipment, and the charter will enhance the re-engineering of the facility to enable it efficiently accommodate patients from its vast catchment area.
4 years.
Committee member Boniface Mutinda urged the political leadership in Nakuru County to provide Nakuru Governor Lee Kinyanjui the needed complementary support to fast-track the charter.
Even a city like this can be destroyed by corrupt leaders. I can only talk to the president and tell him to pump more money to Nakuru, especially the health sector, so that other inhabitants from other surrounding counties can benefit enormously. And that is the essence and the meaning of devolution.
Residents in Nakuru town commended the development, saying elevation of their town to a city will attract good tidings like increased local and foreign investments, jobs, and of most importance to them, better amenities.
Ingredients. And as such, countries who import their active pharmaceutical ingredients from China, such as India, are not in a capacity to import them, and in such they are not in a capacity to manufacture several pharmaceutical products. Kenya, we import literally 80% of the pharmaceutical products we use or we consume in this country.
Chief Administrative Secretary Rashid Aman has insisted that they have enough commodities to deal with the virus.
Now what we are requesting is that our government must allow our country to import from other countries as long as those countries meet the requirements.
Some of the things that we need to consider is, as part of our preparedness, is that we have the necessary commodities to be able to contain this outbreak. We have not recorded any positive case of COVID-19.
The ministry has also been urged to halt the supply of locally produced medicine to neighboring countries so as to cushion the country in the coming days. Meanwhile, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board has launched its third strategic plan 2020 to 2025, which costed 12.5 billion.
I also want us to give a copy.
The board is expected to raise 2.3 billion per year in the next 5 years. Abdes is Ashimi, Blue TV.
Now, detectives probing the death of Sergeant Kipyegon Kenei have identified 9 persons of interest to be interrogated and possibly arraigned for murder. Homicide detectives are now pursuing various leads pointing in the direction of the motive and manner of the murder of Sergeant Kenei, who worked at Deputy President William Ruto's Harambee House Annex office. The 9 include 4 from the office of the Deputy President, 3 from the Department of Defense, and 2 from a mobile operating company said to have taken part in erasing data from Kenei's phone. Depending on the kind of information they give detectives, they could end up being accused or persons of or witnesses in the murder of the administration police officer. Their names and positions are still withheld. Kenei, who was buried on Saturday, was found dead on February 20th, 2020 in his house at Imara Daima area in Nairobi, just as he prepared to record a statement with the DCI on what he knew about the fictitious 39 billion shillings tender said to have been signed at Harambee House Annex.
Kama, if he's doubting DCI Kinoti, he sits in the Government Security Council or Committee National. He can ask the President, this issue, I have doubts in our investigation arm of government here. Can you call me FBI? Aenda andike statement na FBI. FBI watatupatia 3 senior officers kutoka US or even 4. Apeane statement yake pale. Wapatiwe nafasi kufanya investigation parallel with Kinoti. And then they disapprove Kinoti professionally. Not him disapproving Kinoti and is not a professional investigator.
Let's cross over now to the world of business. Indian vehicle manufacturer Mahindra is planning to use Kenya as its African assembly hub as it aims to increase market share in both commercial and passenger segments. The firm has unveiled its first batch of locally assembled double and single cab pickup models at State House today, and a customer event will be held on Wednesday. Have a look.
Mahindra's Chief of International Operations, Avid Matthew, said that Kenya was a key platform in the company's plan to expand in Africa as the company targets both businesses and private motor vehicle buyers. Already, there are 7 Mahindra pickup models and sports utility vehicles in Kenyan market.
And this is a demonstration of the faith that Mahindra has in Kenya and in the promises.
The car maker was embroiled in a storm in Kenya in the 1980s when one of the models was applied to the police force, but failed to live up to the expectations due to lack of spare parts, while the quality of its vehicles were also questioned. However, it has been selling vehicles to individuals and businesses over the years. The firm's East Africa General Manager Sandesh Parab said the start of its local assembly will add to the affordability of the vehicles that are made for the local environment. The government has been working on implementing its national automotive policy, which is expected to boost local assembly of motor vehicles in the country, discourage importation of used cars, and fully built new vehicles.
This is important to us as it will create more opportunities for our people, for employment, as well as facilitate growth of associated downstream industries and encourage even more investment, not only in the motor vehicle sector, but in other sectors as well.
Dealers assembling vehicles locally are exempted from the 25% import duty that is levied on fully built imported vehicles as an incentive that gives room for assemblers to produce cheaper vehicles and create a local value chain benefiting economic growth in the country.
So today, and in keeping with our continued support, I have directed the National Treasury and the Kenya Revenue Authority to immediately institute actions aimed at reducing taxes for vehicles that are fully assembled locally. Furthermore, to make locally assembled vehicles more affordable and available to Kenyans.
This incentive has spurred more vehicle manufacturers to start local assembly of vehicles. Last month, Isuzu East Africa started assembling its D-Max pickup trucks in Kenya, ending its tradition of importing ready-made light commercial vehicles from South Africa. Reporting for Ebru Business, I'm Kaindo Stefano.
Well, let's now switch our focus to the world of sports. Let's get sporty. Wiyeta girls from West Pokot and Laser Hill from Kajiado are the newly crowned girls and boys are the new crowned Chapadimba Rift Region champions. Wiyeta took the girls' title after thrashing Itigo girls 3-0. Wiyeta's Edina Wanda opened the scoring in the 11th minute, followed by a goal from Jacinta Karimana in the 34th minute, with Opisa Shalane netting the final goal in the 45th minute.
Lakini mwaka huu tulikuwa na confidence na tukasema tutatrain na tukakuwa na determination kwa tutafika final, tutafika national na tutakuwa washindi. Sasa mimi nashukuru siku ya leo ni kwa ajili ya ushindi.
Any team I'm ready to play with it. We respect them, but tactically I know we are very much smart when playing with good teams. Especially in that national level, most of the team want to play tactical ball. Not more on running, more on tactical play. So I know my boys are very good in approaching on tactical plays.
Baldev Singh Chaga has taken over the Kenyan National Rally Championship lead from Carl Flash Tundo, incidentally on his 45th birthday. The Flying Singh achieved the scintillating feat with victory in the KCB Nyahururu Rally, which took place at the fast and technical terrain in Laikipia County. After 2 rounds of brilliant displays, Chaga now moves to the summit of the KNRC log on 56 against Tundo's 52 points. Tejveer Rai, on his second outing in the VW Polo R5, raked up a career-best second overall position, beating Tundo to third. Now, Real Madrid lost 2-1 at Real Betis in the Spanish league on Sunday and wasted its... Now, a wonderful winning goal from the substitute Paulo Dybala sent Juventus back to the top of Serie A with a 2-0 win over title rivals Internazionale at an empty Allianz Stadium on Sunday. Have a look.
Well, these two great clubs and huge rivals have a massive back catalogue of Serie A meetings. 2 clubs from 2 cities in a real fight for this season's Scudetto. Still going here, Blaise Matuidi to pull it back for Ronaldo, and Ramsey! Huge, huge goal in the context of this Serie A season. And from Juve, a zip to them that there just hasn't been this season, arguably. Dybala, a touch there from Ramsey, and Dybala! Oh, it's a thrilling goal from the substitute, Paulo Dybala. And Juventus now surely have the win, the massive win that takes them back to the top of the Serie A table.
What a team goal. Brilliant play from Juve, from back to middle to front. And it's Paulo Dybala who actually finishes it off really well. What a ball from Bentancur out to the right-hand side. Touch of an angel is...
Just in case you're wondering why the stadium was empty, is because the match was being played behind closed doors due to coronavirus fears. That's it on Ebru Primetime News on this 9th day of March 2020, the second anniversary of the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga. Thank you so much for watching, and that is on behalf of everyone who made this possible. Look, talk to us. Our SMS line is 40920. Tell us about what you think about this bulletin, as well as our general programming. You can also talk to us through our Twitter handle, that is at Ebru TV Kenya. My name is Eric Munene, our sign language interpreter. At the bottom end of your screen is Joyce Warimo. Keep safe. Bye.